Happy Friday afternoon. Thank you for tuning in for this special edition of our Fermented Friday chats with the Brewers Association of Maryland. I'm Jim Bachman. I'm the Communications Director for Grow Fortify and the Brewers Association of Maryland. I will be joined today by two members of our legislative committee. I will be joined by Mike Franklin of Franklin's Brewery in Hyattsville and Ken Prey of Monument City Brewing in Baltimore. We're going to have a great conversation with you this afternoon, just kind of summarizing and amplifying our goals for this year's legislative session. Before we jump into that, we appreciate everybody tuning in and showing your support for our industry. Please show your support this weekend for Maryland's breweries. They're open for business. They are able to sell you beer for carryout. Lots of places have on-premise consumption options right now. Delivery to your house is an option for many of our state's breweries, and you can even place some shipping orders with breweries that are shipping. So please show your support in any way that you can to your favorite Maryland brewery. We very much appreciate it. And if you're buying cans from your breweries, please share them this weekend. Sunday is the National Beer Can Appreciation Day. We'd love to see the Maryland beer that you're drinking in cans, and we can't wait to see your pictures and stuff on Instagram and Facebook. So have a safe weekend. Enjoy the chat. If you have questions, as always, please feel free to throw them into the comments section on Facebook or on YouTube. We can address them as we go. And if you're tuning into this not live, but watching at a later date, please feel free to shoot any questions directly to us via our Facebook pages and Messenger. We'd be happy to address those there. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Mike Franklin from Franklin's Brewery. Mike, how are you this afternoon?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. And we've got Ken Prey with Monument City. Ken, how are you?
I'm well. Happy Friday.
You've both got beers. Good. I was going to say, I think Ken's doing better than both of us because he's got a beer. But Mike, you're ahead of me.
I'm all right.
All right. Well, I'm the bad man on the totem pole, I guess, in this situation. So today's kind of an interesting conversation. Normally, when we do these Fermented Friday talks, we're talking about your breweries and your brands specifically. It's typically a time to highlight what you're doing at your business. But today's a little different. We're going to take this hour or close to discuss what you guys are doing on behalf of the industry to help support the legislative effort that we have going into 2021. And I think that a convenient way for us to kind of talk about where we're going is to set the foundation for where we were prior to COVID kind of throwing everything at the wall and changing it up. So, Mike, you had a lot of participation and a lot of direction to offer in the last few years with kind of how the industry has matured legally and what's happened. Can you give us a real quick breakdown from maybe the last 5 years, what changed in the industry that was impactful?
Oh gosh. I
don't need to put you on the spot.
No, I think a bunch of things have evolved as business models forward. All of the breweries have evolved. The tap room has come into its own in Maryland as an important part of almost all of the Class 5 breweries, and certainly Class 7s kind of did have that in brew pubs from the beginning. But that's a huge chunk of business and a vital chunk of business that has progressively evolved to in the last 5 years. If I was going to pick one single thing that has kind of changed, I would say that is it. I've also seen a tremendous growth in the number of breweries. When I joined the association 17 years ago, there were about 10 of us, and now there's over 100. The majority of which have opened within the last 3 years.
Just to kind of echo Mike's point there, what we're going to be talking about today are kind of the laws that we hope to codify this year are things that are going to offer breweries more opportunities to generate revenue in a meaningful way and offer security should anything like this occur in the future. Things have changed so much that things that people didn't anticipate doing are the ways that they're staying in business now. And I think that, to Mike's point, 5 years ago, you just started to be able to go into a brewery in the state of Maryland and order a pint in their tasting room. Prior to that, it was with a tour only. You could sample, but you couldn't order a pint. You couldn't sit down and have more than one full beer while you were there. Mike's a little bit of a different story. Mike operates a brew pub in Hyattsville, so he's had the ability to sell pints the whole time he's been in business. Lucky guy. And I think that, to his point, more breweries have flourished in the state. Brent, you guys opened right after pints became legal in the state, correct?
We did. That's right. Yeah, I mean, I think, Mike brings up a really good point. The growth in the industry has been so significant that I think it's forever changed the landscape of beer in general, whether that's macro or or craft. As in every industry, things evolve and change, and the way people operate those businesses evolve and change. And, I think gone are the days of breweries being able to rely on one revenue stream, distribution, because no longer are there opportunities to become, let me rephrase. There are limited opportunities to become large regional or national breweries. And I think most of us are supported by our local communities. We distribute through the whole state, but 70% of my volume goes to Baltimore City, Baltimore County. And so finding ways to grow your business is not about saying distribution is bad, because distribution is great. And we love our distribution partners. We have really good relationships. But being able to grow and hire more people means you need to find new revenue streams. So I just think it evolves, and it's and it will continue to evolve.
Well, and I think that this year kind of showed what revenue streams are out there that weren't out there before. Through the work of Governor Hogan and Comptroller Francho, we've seen some really dramatic opportunities open up to breweries in a way that has been quite meaningful. For those of you who may not have been keeping up with all of the changes, or who may not have taken advantage of all the changes, the first two things that are on our to-do list this year for legislative progress is to secure the ability to ship beer to consumers within the state of Maryland. So a brewery can take your order over the internet, over the phone, place a beer into a package, and through a third-party carrier, have that beer shipped to your door. Another option is to place an order with your favorite brewery and have that beer delivered to your door by a representative of the brewery. We were talking a little bit before this. Mike's in an interesting position because he operates a brew pub, which has kind of another outlet, which is he can not only deliver his own beer and food to you, but he can also deliver cocktails, which is kind of a cool thing. And I don't see the restaurant industry being very interested in giving that up this year. So it seems like everybody wants to support this idea of bringing everything that an adult should be able to order at their home to their home.
I'm also in a unique situation that I have a place that did not have any outdoor seating because our property line ends basically at the end of our building. But literally 200 feet away from, well, less than 200 feet away from us, less than 100 feet, the state highway owns a right-of-way that I've been able to create a outdoor seating area on with the agreement with state highway, and which is a remarkable thing in and of itself. Partnerships between the state and individual businesses. And technically, because I don't own the property, the only way I'm able to have this outdoor seating is to deliver to the tables. So the ability to deliver beer and tiki cocktails, as opposed to only being able to do it on your own property, is the only thing that has kept us in business, because the outdoor seating is the only thing that has kept us in business.
So essentially, when I come and sit in your tiki bar area, I am an invited guest of the Department of Transportation under your authority, and I can have my delivery at my table. That
is correct. Part of our outdoor seating is City of Hyattsville. Then there's a park and planning bike path in the middle, and then on the other side, where we created actually a tiki bar with sand and everything, and that's all state highway. So without the approval of 4 different government agencies, we would not have outdoor seating.
And just to bring a comment in, Phil Dudley said he was going to ask about shipping and delivery. Phil, to address your question about shipping out of state, Maryland breweries are able to ship out of state so long as they meet the guidelines of the importing state's licensing regulator. So any brewery that chooses to ship from Maryland to another state just needs to tack in on the receiving end and make sure that they're licensed there to do so. Brewery delivery in state right now is allowed. We have some great breweries offering really wide distribution networks. We have a lot of people who are kind of carving things out based on geography and what days they choose to service those areas. So visit your favorite brewery and see what they might have to offer. I wanted to kind of piggyback on that. Ken, we were talking before this, and you guys have been pretty fortunate. You've got some strong business going on in your location, but you were talking about how you're seeing that delivery and shipping are going to be options that you're probably going to pursue in the coming months.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I think, being in Baltimore City, and this is by no means a knock on our local government. It's just been very tough to operate. We just, as of today, are able to have 25% occupancy.
You're lucky. We have none still.
Yeah. So, and we are able to now to have outside seating. And I think early December we weren't, and then early in the pandemic we weren't allowed. So, most of our, lifeline has still been through distribution, which is great. But not having, our bar and restaurant partners open has been a challenge. So we continue to look at other ways that we can generate revenue. And so delivery is something that we are hoping to launch within the next 4 weeks in select areas. And shipping is something we continue to evaluate, and we hope to also launch that. I think shipping, provides a really good opportunity. You have to think distributors are also in a tough spot now. And so some of the limited beers we do, they don't necessarily have the appetite or opportunity to bring in. And so that allows us to get some of those limited beers to ship them to customers in areas that maybe can't stop by the brewery, or it's too far of a drive to get here. And I think delivery is still the same. We have to remember we're still in a pandemic here, and there's a lot of people that don't feel comfortable coming out. And so providing a safe delivery option for them allows them to stay at home and still get their favorite local beers. So it's something that we didn't shy away because we didn't believe in it. We just, quite frankly, we're working on other channels, but a big thing for us in the next couple months is to get those two things up and running.
I'm going to address a couple of other questions that are popping up. First, I'm going to get with our buddy Jerry from Sharapine. He's asking, what's in place that prevents other states from shipping into Maryland? Very easy off the top. Legislation in Maryland has not allowed for shipping of beer at all, or spirits. This was all done through executive orders of the governor this year. The wine industry, on the other hand, has the ability to ship, but there is no imported direct-to-consumer shipping option available through law. So that's kind of what the situation is. There were a lot of folks who border our state who kind of preemptively thought they could just go ahead and ship because they were able to ship out, but didn't think about how that was going to be impacted on the receiving end. And we've seen a lot of breweries up and down the East Coast who have floated the idea of shipping to Maryland, and then within a day or two have pulled it off of their online retail experience. And then to address Annette's question about do we have a conversation related to legislature allowing chain stores to sell alcohol in Maryland? The Brewers Association does not have a stance on the chain store argument right now as an industry. We support the retailers who support us, and we appreciate all of their ongoing support. And we definitely are interested to see how that moves forward, but we don't have an opinion on, as an association, one way or another, how that legislation develops. And then Keith, one of our friends from ACS, I'm sorry. What do you think the chances are of getting these current laws for home delivery and to-go sales as a sunset this year? We're in conversations about what's going on, but we're hopeful that we'll be able to get these as permanent fixtures in the law that are going to allow our breweries to survive not only through 2021, but well past any expiration of a state of emergency.
Can I put in? Go ahead.
I'm sorry, Mike. What was that?
Can I put in a little opinion on that? Just that, just when the when the pandemic is quote unquote over, it will not be over, and sunsetting when there is just a declared okay, everyone's had a vaccine. The permanent damage will not be rectified necessarily. None of us know exactly what the new normal will be, but for sure, for example, a lot of businesses will not have as many employees coming into their offices. There will be, we're anticipating permanent damage to our lunch traffic. There'll be permanently less offices having happy hours because there won't be as many people gathered. There's so many ways that we think there'll be long-term effects. And having delivery and outdoor seating and shipping allows us the flexibility of maintaining some income streams that will help us weather whatever the new normal is.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to add to that. And first, hi, Keith, and thank you for the good work and all the glassware. We appreciate it. I just want to go back to my point earlier. I think sometimes we lose track that, this is not a greed thing. This is a, evolution of business in our industry. And I think it's really important to note that this doesn't mean, people who distribute now are going to move away from distribution. It means, we need to grow our business and we need to find ways to meet customers in the new environment. And I agree with Mike that the social impact to something that we are still going through and have gone through since March of last year, I'm not sure we have a full understanding of what that's going to be. And, I think, I'm really proud and, and happy that, Hogan and the rest of, of the lawmakers allowed us this opportunity. But I think it needs to be communicated that these are just now ways that we operate.
And I think that is our goal through these conversations. We've done this with the wine industry. We've done this with the spirits industry. Today's our opportunity to talk about this from the perspective of beer. And to just piggyback on both of your comments, not only has this been a shift in operations, it used to be a pretty simple operation. You either had your wholesaler come to your back door and you handed off your beer to them, or you delivered it to the wholesale warehouse as needed. Or you self-distributed it to your customers, or you sold it over your tasting room bar. But now there are businesses, maybe not you, Ken, but in general, we've got businesses that are making investment in trucks and staff to deliver beer to people. They're changing how their schedules work. They're adjusting hours in their tasting room to accommodate for this. They're spending money on point of sale materials that are going to allow them the opportunity to take these orders and fulfill them. And this truly has been a shift in operation, not just hey, here's a new opportunity for us to go and collect some cash. It is a new way of doing business as a small brewery here in the state of Maryland. We
have to mention the most important people of all, and that is our customers. We do these things because our customers love it. They love these new opportunities, new ways of being able to enjoy our products. And I'm sure they can't imagine going back to the way it was. It's so convenient for them to to, when they get carry out food, to be able to get the alcohol to go along with it. They've, I think, permanently decided that outdoor seating is a thing and something they want to continue. And the sky hasn't fallen. Everybody has been serving safely, and I feel like it's just been a net positive for all of the consumers in Maryland.
Just to clarify for any of the viewers who may not have had a delivery of alcohol to their home yet through kind of how these new options have worked, the delivery service or the delivery representative from the brewery will check an ID to make sure that the person who is receiving the alcohol is the person who ordered it. They will also verify that you're over 21 years old, or else they will not deliver the beer and they will refund the money. So this is a process that is very similar to how it would go if you were face-to-face in a tasting room. It just offers a barrier of safety and of convenience for people who are concerned. I know that I personally have been a little bit more concerned about this than I usually am about things. I've allowed myself to really be measured and approach this in a way that's not flippant or disregarding of the evidence that's around us. And I've got to say, this beer delivery thing has been awesome for me. I've received beer from Montgomery County breweries, from breweries in Baltimore. I've received beer from breweries in Howard County. And even living in Frederick, I can walk to many of our breweries, but when they're offering a delivery service, I feel a little safer knowing that I'm not going to come across somebody or potentially expose somebody to something that I've come across. And being able to order it is just wonderful. So there's your point, Mike. The consumer loves it. You're darn right we do.
Yeah, exactly.
And another point of yours, the outdoor thing, living in Frederick, I still hear murmurs of people here who are hoping that there may be a more permanent shutdown of portions of our downtown thoroughfare to allow restaurants to have as much outdoor space as they need and maybe mimic cities like Charlottesville and things like that.
Yeah. Definitely some cultural changes are going to be, some are temporary, but some will be permanent when we get through this.
So kind of leading into the third point on our 4 points of legislative wishing for this year. Ken, as a Class 5 brewery, you've got this cap that exists for carryout of 288 fluid ounces. So a guest can come in and purchase a whole case of beer from you and leave with it. And then they don't get any more beer to take home with them until their next visit. Fortunately, due to all of this, the governor understood that people would want to make fewer stops at locations. They would want to interact with as few people as they could, as infrequently as possible, and they allowed for breweries to sell more than one case of beer to a consumer. Have you seen this working well for you guys, and are you hoping that this would stay in place?
Yeah, I mean, we've definitely noticed the bulk buy approach recently, or since March, and you know, I think we've been blessed to have a lot of support from our community. But yeah, I think we see it often, multiple cases. I just saw multiple cases go out before I walked back here to take this. Yeah, I would love to see it in place. I think it's important, especially when we have not just us, but other breweries that have limited releases that don't necessarily make it out into market. Sometimes people like to pick up more than 288 ounces of that product. So for us, it's been quite helpful. I think for the consumer as well, it's been quite helpful. So I'm hoping those things stick around as we get into the new normal.
And as much as we keep hitting on how these are impacting the consumer, one of the things that I see quite frequently on Facebook beer groups, specifically like Maryland Beer Drinkers Club, is this question about where can I visit a brewery in Maryland and get a keg to bring home? And prior to this whole thing, your options are pretty limited to the few brew pubs that carry a Class 7 in the state.
Yeah.
But now, there's an opportunity for your fan who lives around the corner and has a kegerator that wants to come and buy a sixtel from you, they're now able to do that.
Yeah, I mean, we still don't delve into kegs because they're so damn expensive. But yeah, I know there are options, and I know a lot of breweries that that are local that have taken advantage of that, and it's been quite helpful for them. I mean, again, I think 2020 was, man, I don't want to be, so negative, but it was definitely, survival. And I think for a lot of us, it was, the benefit was an opportunity to reevaluate, refocus, and, find ways to protect our business. And like Mike said, none of us are sure of what the new normal is, but we know it's not going to be like it was prior to COVID for some period of time, and maybe always. So just trying to find ways to grow our business, keep our people paid. I think that's the other thing, we lose track of. We have people that we, full-time employees that we pay, and that have families and that have homes, and, all of these things. As we grow, we're able to grow our employee base, and they're able to grow their career. So, like every business, I think given the opportunity to find legal and appropriate ways of growth is important.
I think that that's a great opportunity. I was doing some stuff today preparing for February. Don't forget, we'll be celebrating Maryland Craft Beer Lovers Month next month. But I was preparing some assets for that, and just going over again the economic impact that this industry has on the state. We're supporting more than 7,100 full-time jobs throughout the state, and making a contribution of $956 million to the state's economy. It's incredible. And to Ken's point, without the ability to maintain a competitive business in this new normal or this new future and be able to adjust to what needs to happen, we're going to be faced with some serious consequences. And we're very fortunate we haven't seen many of these businesses, or many of your businesses, suffer from these consequences yet. But I think that if there isn't this ability to maintain what's going on now and keep it going into the future, some businesses may not fare well from it.
Yeah, I mean, I think maybe Mike alluded to this earlier. I'm not sure we've seen the full effect yet. Again, I still try to remind people, we're still in a pandemic. We are still suffering quite significantly. That being said, we all remain positive and are happy with the support we're getting. And, without that support, we'd be in trouble. But, you think of our friends over at Union, delivery allowed them to keep people employed, keep people paid. Those are big deals. So, I think, and a lot of people who support local craft beer understand that it's more, it's a very, close community in each of our locations. We're all families, and, we want to make sure we can provide for those people. So,
another question from Jerry from Share a Pint. Is there a concern that distributors, or is there a concern from distributors that if breweries are allowed to continue this, it will negatively impact them and they would not support it? Jerry, there's always an opportunity for the things that we are pursuing to maybe not necessarily line up directly with our other partners in this industry, both retailers or wholesalers. But ultimately, we're all committed to everybody succeeding, and I think that we'll find a way to work all this out with them. They have been good partners of ours. Even when things have gotten tense and contentious, they've always done what they could to support our industry and ensure that our members are well taken care of. So I think that we'll find some common ground with them no matter what the outcome is.
Yeah, I mean, we have a lot of distributor partners, and it always strikes me when people think it is quite contentious when it's not. And we have some really good partnerships, and you're right, they understand where everyone is, and they've been very understanding in my specific relationships. But I do think it's important that there is open and really productive conversations around why this is important to our industry as a whole, and that it's not to try to take away from one channel as more as diversifying. So
I think that was a great way to state that. And I see things from the perspective of a wholesaler dealing with a company like Mike. If I'm a wholesale partner with Mike's retail business, I'd be pretty thrilled with the idea that I could get more pull through of my brands through a delivery opportunity staying in existence for a restaurant. I think that would be great. It means that it's one less limitation and one less barrier for the consumer getting my product over Mike's bar, and I would be happy to do that. So I think that everybody has an opportunity here to see some positive change if this thing stays in effect. Hope that cleared that up, Jerry. If you have any other thoughts on that, please feel free to share them with us. And then the very last point that we have on our kind of four-pronged approach here is a point that is going to be a little less impactful necessarily for the consumer, but is incredibly important for the role of the regulator in the state and for the state's breweries, wineries, and distilleries. And that is, we're hoping to have this law passed, or this bill turn into a law, and give the regulator in the state the opportunity to set a flexible fee schedule for licensing. So right now, the way that it's written, there's a fee that's mandated, and we're hoping that the legislation would reflect that a fee up to that limit could be mandated at the discretion of the regulator. What that would do would give the regulator, whether that's the comptroller, which it is now, or a commission in the future, depending on how things shake out, give them the opportunity to set a fee or change a fee or waive a fee in the event that we have something like this happen again. Currently, many businesses throughout the state have basically just kind of been not even renewed, just carry on with business. We'll talk about licensing later kind of deal, just because the infrastructure is not in place under this current pandemic to deal with this. And we want to make sure that there's something there that supports everyone. We've heard some reports that insurers aren't interested in carrying on policies if they don't have a license, an up-to-date license in hand. And we think that there could be some detrimental effect without the ability to truly just say, hey, this is what the fee could be. Do either of you have any thoughts or insight on that?
No, I mean, this is, again, just for convenience sake. I think there needs to be some updates on a technical end, so you can do all the applications and money and licensing online rather than having to mail things in. It just shows the weakness of kind of old-fashioned systems in the pandemic. And, on the county level, certainly they're moving towards it. And the state level, they should be able to do that as well. No reason to send in a check and make, in case there's nobody in the office because of a pandemic. Why not be able to do that all electronically?
Sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure I have much to add other than I think finding ways in this environment to allow people to stay up to date, and whether there's payment structures or whatever it may be to help them keep their licenses and so on in good stead is important. But other than that, I'm not sure I have much to add.
And I just popped up on our screen here for you to look at. This is kind of a representation of what we're looking for, the four pieces of this legislation for this year. Again, the direct-to-consumer shipping within the state. So we're hopeful that our state's breweries would be able to receive an order from you and ship it to your residence in Maryland, and have that product be carried by a third-party carrier, so UPS, FedEx, somebody like that, and have that delivered to a legal recipient, somebody who's over 21 years old and is able to receive alcohol. We would also like to have statewide door-to-door delivery options. Let Ken send one of his staff out safely deliver this beer to your home address and make sure that you're able to enjoy it without having to either go out when you're uncomfortable doing so or, fight the crowds. We'd also like to see that the caps for carryout sales are lifted. Class 5 breweries can only sell you 1 case of beer or 4 growlers of beer per visit right now. We would like to see that that gets raised and you can buy as much beer as you would like to buy in your transaction with the brewery, because that's your prerogative and the brewery's prerogative to sell to you as a customer. And we'd like to see the regulator have the ability to have some flexibility in their scheduling of licensing fees. So we're hopeful that these things will pass. You'll see some more things from us about this in the coming weeks and months, because we are going to need your support. Consumers play a huge role in this. And to Mike's point from earlier, all of this is being done to ensure that you're getting the most out of your transactions and your experience with these businesses. This is not all for the industry members. This is really about making a difference for the Maryland consumers' experience and ability to enjoy what we're making here in the state. Before we kind of wrap this all up, can we talk to each of you about some things that you have going on at your establishments, what business is looking like there, how people can support you, and then we'll close out after that.
Sure.
Mike, how can people come and experience Franklin's Brewery beer, and how can they show you their support? I'm sorry.
Well, at the moment, unfortunately we are totally closed indoors except for carryout. We are using the outdoor seating as a pop-up, so anytime it goes above 50 degrees, we're out. We have regular service in the outdoors. We're doing delivery to the local neighborhoods 7 days a week during the evenings. We're looking to upgrade our outdoor service starting in the spring with real plates and real silverware and real glassware. We did it all in carryout containers in the previous incarnation in the summers and fall of 2020. But we feel like we want to make this a real experience of equal quality as if you walked into the indoor dining at Franklin's. So we're going to upgrade all of that for the next spring, summer, fall outdoor season.
And before we jump to Ken, I would like to address John's comment here. Thank you, John. We appreciate all of the grooming tips about the best razors that we can get in 2020. We'll take that.
I'm not sure I've bought a razor in years.
I converted to a straight bladed safety razor this year, and it was like the coolest thing I did. It keeps the neck nice and clean.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, but it's always good to hear from John.
Ken, why don't you tell us how people can support Monument City?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think like everyone, whether you're going to your favorite, local craft beer store, for those, restaurants or bars that are able to provide carry out or are allowed people in, you can always support us and other local, Maryland breweries. Obviously, you can visit our online store, The Trading Post, order for curbside, or as of today, you can stop in 25% inside and 50% outside. So I think there's a lot of ways you can support, not only Monument City, but the rest of Maryland beer. So yeah, take advantage of them.
I think that's a great way to sum this whole thing up. I appreciate both of you taking the time to chat with me this afternoon. It's always a pleasure when I get to talk to you. I wish I could see you both in person, but I truly appreciate you joining me here in this virtual environment.
Cheers. Thanks for doing this.
To echo Ken's comments, please go out and show your support for Maryland's breweries, and do not leave our retail friends out of this. If you're stopping by your local package store, please ask them where their Maryland beer is located and buy some off of their shelf. They are great assets and great partners in this whole endeavor. And if you feel like visiting and supporting your breweries directly, they've got a wide variety of ways to do that, whether it's curbside pickup, carry out, door-to-door delivery right now or shipping options, there's a way that you can get Maryland beer. So visit marylandbeer.org for any questions about what we've got going on industry-wide. Check out Franklin's Brewery in Hyattsville. Find out what they've got going on, what their developments are. If you're in the area, order some carry out from Mike. His food is delicious. The beer is great. They will hook you up. And now that you guys can get back into some of these establishments in Baltimore, go check out the guys at Monument City. Again, wonderful beer, great experience there, and a great way to show your support for the community. Guys, thank you all very much. Have a safe weekend, and I will see you all soon.
Yeah. Thanks so much, guys. Cheers.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.